Hi, good evening. USA has just upped the ante against China, and it's a very interesting thing. So I thought I'll share it with all of you. Trump has announced that there'll be a 10% tariff on all goods coming from China to USA, and this will be over and above the all the existing tariffs which are there. Well, that's not all. He's also said that there'll be a 30% tariff on all goods coming from Canada into USA, Mexico into USA. The Mexico part is interesting because China had routed a lot of its goods through Mexico, export to Mexico and re-export to USA. And that was the way it was beating the China plus one strategy of diversifying away from China. And especially Mexico, it had gone and set a lot of factories out there. So this is a real blow to China. And yeah, this is what it is. Uh, he'll be charging an additional 10% tariff above any additional tariffs on all of their many products coming into the United States of America. Well, if you think this was the only thing, sorry. This podcast is not about tariffs. This podcast is how USA has upped the military ante against China. And that's interesting. So what's this? So this is the headline which caught my eye in South China Morning Post. As per this, HIMARS is going to be deployed in the first island chain. And where is it going to be deployed? It's going to be deployed along the Nansei Islands, along the Ryukyu chain. Where is that? This is the place. Have a look at this. These are the two islands on which they could, possibly get deployed. And these islands are just about 60 kilometers from the northern tip of Taiwan, and one is about 150 kilometers. But interestingly, these islands are just around 300 kilometers, 250 to 60 kilometers from China. Put HIMARS there, put the larger missile system of HIMARS, that's the ATACMS, which was deployed in Ukraine with a 300-kilometer range, which means Taiwan is covered, this coast is covered. Very interesting. But that also doesn't mean much. This is it. This is the first island chain, right? This is the first island chain. Okay. The two important straits are the Miyako Strait and the Tokara Strait. The Miyako Strait is to the south of Okinawa and north of the Senkakus. And this is, of course, south of the mainland and north of Okinawa Islands or the Okinawa chain. Why these are required? These are required for China to deploy its naval fleet past the first island chain. So the first island chain is virtually the first line of defense against China. It is in these islands, these two islands, that the HIMARS is likely to be deployed. The Marines have already been told they're going to go and deploy there. Well, the Chinese can potentially knock it out by firing using drones or whatever they want to, because the HIMARS won't have mobility. They're virtually static in this area. But the fact is that if China has to do it, it means it's declaring war on USA. Will it do it? One doesn't know. But from here, this gap will be covered, and probably they'll reach up to here also. And definitely they'll close this Miyako Strait. And from the southern tip of the mainland Japan, the Tokara Strait also can get closed with mainland weapons. So that literally blocks the first island chain north of Taiwan, as also supports Taiwan in case of any eventuality. Okay. But that is not about all. Yesterday, this headline came out that Philippines will host advanced US missile unit. That's a Typhoon missile unit. Where is it going to get deployed? At Luzon. And where is Luzon? Luzon is here. This is Luzon. Okay, what's the importance of Luzon? One has to see a little more closely for you to understand. Okay, here it is. Now, when you look at Luzon, you know, this is Luzon. This is the Bashi Channel. This is the Miyako Strait. This is Taiwan. And this is, of course, the Tokara Strait. Mind you, I'm using a CGTN map, the Chinese way of looking at this map. So just think, if something is deployed in this year, US stuff and US weaponry is here, and definitely on Okinawa they have a base, US base is there. So what will be the transit through the Miyako Straits and the Tokara Straits? And similarly at Luzon, it's deployed, it has the potential to close the Bashi Channel. Now, this is it. These three channels virtually are getting blocked. Over and above that, we've seen all these deployments around Taiwan, where the PLA Navy aircraft and all have come and deployed as part of punishment drills, encircle them, and to besiege Taiwan and blockade Taiwan. But with these weapon systems here and here, how much of a blockade can China do is a moot point. Okay, just look at it a little, when you move away from it and have a look at it, this is what you see. The Bashi Channel is the only way that the South China Fleet goes out. Of course, it can go through the South China Sea. That's a different story. But this is the only way it can go out. If that's plugged, the complete deployment of China, that is the naval deployment of China, will be in a problem. Similarly, if the Miyako Straits are also plugged, the North Fleet of China gets into a problem. And in fact, about the Miyako Straits, one Japanese admiral once told me that it's very important for China and for Japan. And once you block the Bashi Channel and the Miyako Strait, it's very difficult for China to deploy its naval fleet into Western Pacific beyond the first island chain elsewhere. The other thing is that once you have something at Luzon, this is where Luzon is. And what are they putting at Luzon? The Typhoon missile system. What is the Typhoon missile system all about? It has the Tomahawk. It can fire the Tomahawk cruise missile. Now, the Tomahawk cruise missile has a range of 2,500 kilometers. With 2,500 kilometers, virtually the entire South China Sea, right? The entire South China Sea and the coast of China are cleanly covered, right? So now this is almost a forward deployment by Americans, right? Now, once upon a time, it was thought that the Americans will not do such a forward deployment, right? Their aim was to be concentrated at Guam, Japan, and in Korea, where they're already deployed, right? They're located. In the past 3-4 years, slowly America has spread, or US forces have spread into small packets with long range firepower. And of course, they'll have satellite communication. So the number of targets which China has to engage have increased. And these small pockets, like it's here, which covers all these vital straits. Okay, let me show that picture again, which covers all the vital straits. What does it do? It constricts China from moving out or deploying its navy, and it also deters China from blockades, and it further deters China from engaging or knocking off one big target. Now China has to contend with a lot more targets, right? So it's a very, very provocative move. Just think, if someone comes and deploys something in Maldives or in Sri Lanka and Hambantota, just one ship, Chinese ship comes, the survey vessel, and we get all worked up here. And here, USA is deploying cruise missiles and HIMARS, which can reach mainland China. Just think what a provocative move it is. So, to my way of thinking, it's a twin strike by Trump even before he's come. And all this is before he's even taken over office. What will happen ahead is to be seen. Till then, thank you and Jai Hind.